Hey, it's Samina Round, and today we're doing another list challenge. And today's list challenge is a bit more tailored to me, i.e., it's more tailored to where I am from. So, this video today is about places in Norfolk. So, if you didn't know, I'm from the UK and I live in Norfolk. I have lived in Norfolk for all of my life. Norfolk, if you are in America, Norfolk in our country is what you call a county. So in our town is where I live. I live in a town called Swaffham, which is in a county called Norfolk, which is in a country called the UK. So it's very confusing. So in America, you have states, and in the UK, we have counties, which is Norfolk. So I live in Norfolk, which is technically the east side of the country, and it is mostly around the outside by the coast, although there are places obviously inland. So today we are looking at a list of, I'm not sure how many, 40 places around Norfolk, and we're going to tick off whether I've been to them, discuss a little bit of each of them, and we're going to see how many other people have done the same. This is from a website called List Challenges. This is the new series I'm doing on my channel. Obviously, if you are from the UK and you've been to these places, let me know down below. If you're in America, let me know which of these places you'd like to visit if you came to the UK. So for each place that I have visited, I get a star, and that becomes a percentage. And the idea is to see whether you beat other people and where you rank in the world. So let's take a look at the beautiful place of where I live called Norfolk. So here we have the website, and we're going to go down and we're going to look at each of these. So the first place is, have I visited Acle? Now, I actually used to live in Acle. Acle is about 20 minutes from Great Yarmouth, and I used to live in a flat there with my ex. And it's a very small, quaint little place. It has a train station, it has a pub, has and Chinese, has a school. It's a very small little place because it is right by the coast. So the next place we are looking at is Bewilderwood. Now, Bewilderwood is an activity place for kids mainly, and you go on like these zip wires and these little tree houses and that. And I've never actually been to Bewilderwood. It's kind of pricey. But they've had new areas recently. It's been redone, revamped. Maybe one day. Now, I have been to Blakeney. Blakeney was a place that my dad and his wife, my stepmom, had their honeymoon. Blakeney is a very quaint little fishing town. And they have these gorgeous boats and everything, and it's all very quaint and old worldy. Blickling Hall, I've never been to Blickling Hall. It's one of the more fancy estates that the UK has. You can go around its halls and see it, but I've never done that. So I got a percentage there for having gone to Acle. And obviously having gone to Blakeney. So I get a percentage. Right, next, the Bure Valley Railway. I have been on that a few times. I do love steam trains, and why wouldn't you? Clyde Marshes. I've never been on Clyde Marshes. I've been on other marshes around the coast. Hunstanton Marshes are one, but I've never been to Clyde Marshes. The Coleman's Mustard Shop and Museum. I did go to the shop back in the day when it was in Norwich. Norwich used to have a shop and museum, but they don't have the shop anymore in the city centre. It's gone. So, you know, things come and go. Next is Cromer. Now, I've been to Cromer, and they have an amazing pier. Obviously, you get Cromer crab. Never had Cromer crab before, but it is meant to be the best crab in the country. So if you're ever looking to taste crab, Cromer is your place. Next, Galston-on-Sea. I've only ever been to Galston once. I wasn't really a fan of Galston compared to other coastal places. Not for any particular reason. But as you can see, my heart lies here with Great Yarmouth. I have spent all of my childhood going to Great Yarmouth and all of my adult life. My sisters find it as their home. Even my son and his girlfriend are holidaying in Great Yarmouth this year. Great Yarmouth will always have a place in my heart. Hence, I love Great Yarmouth. Next, Hemsby. So Hemsby is a little small town just down from Great Yarmouth. It has a holiday park. It has tourists every year going from Yarmouth down to there. It's only a very small place, but what it offers is that quaint little seaside town. Next is Hickling Broad. I've never been to Hickling Broad. You can moor your boats up, which is really handy if you're doing like the Norfolk Broads boating. But I've never been to Hickling. Holcombe Hall. Now, this is another hall. It's kind of like the Blickling Estate. It's another fancy hall that you can go around and see. And I've never had the opportunity to go. I've been to Sandringham, which is another great big place like this, like an estate. But I've never been to Holcombe Hall. The Horsesea Wind Pump. Now, I've never been to Horsesea, but I have been up a windmill before, but it was in Wicklewood, not in Horsesea. Wicklewood is a little place in Norfolk. It's a very small village that has a windmill that you could go around and see. Next is the Howe Hill Nature Reserve. I've never been to Howe Hill, but I do love going around a nature reserve. I do have a thing for nature, walks, gardens, and that kind of thing. Now, Hunstanton, you will know I've been to. I've actually videoed from Hunstanton. I've actually videoed their Sea Life Centre. And I've been to Hunstanton quite a lot. It's the nearest coastal place to go to. Compared to Great Yarmouth, which is like a 2-hour journey from here, it is actually quicker to get to Hunstanton, which is around 40 minutes. They have amazing beaches, bowling alleys, arcades, Sea Life Centre. They have a mini kind of theme park. Next is Kings Lynn, which I visit regularly. I was actually in Kings Lynn quite a lot. Kings Lynn is a little town. Has a quay, and it's really nice. They have a little market and everything, and it's very cozy for a town. Next is Munsley. I haven't been to Munsley before. That's another seaside town. I've never been to Museum of the Broads. Probably should have done. I do live on the Norfolk coast near enough. I'm like 40 minutes away from it. I'd love to go to Norfolk Lavender. I've never been. It's where they grow Norfolk lavender, and the smell must be amazing. It's actually not that far from me, but it's hard to get to unless you have a car. Norwich, obviously, I've lived in Norwich. I lived in Norwich for about 6 months, and I go to Norwich like every couple of months. It's not a place that I like to visit too often, but it is a place that at some point you do visit. I have been to the Norwich Cathedral. I've been to the Renaissance fair that they have. I've been around the cathedral itself. I've actually sang in the cathedral, would you believe, with the choir many, many years ago. I used to be part of a choir back in the day when I was a child, and we actually sang in the Norwich Cathedral during Christmas. And I have also sang in Norwich Castle at Christmas as well. Next is Alton Broad. Now, Alton Broad is just down from Lowestoft, and it is again another seaside-esque place. I've been through it on like a train, but I've never actually got off at Alton Broad. It is another seaside port. The Poppy Line, of course, if you have been on the Sheringham line, you will have been on the Poppy Line, which is what the Sheringham line is. And if you haven't been on the Sheringham steam train line, I highly implore you to do. The scenery during the summer is breathtaking. Definitely go on the Poppy Line. Next, we have Sandringham. Now, I've been around Sandringham Gardens. And Sandringham itself, you can go around most of the place. Some of it is obviously cornered off because it is the Queen's residence, or it is the King's residence now. It's a beautiful garden set in many, many acres. They also have like a Sandringham Fair every year where they have like the gun dogs and displays and the crafts and all that kind of good stuff and shopping and all that every year. Sheringham, I've been to. Sheringham is where the Poppy line runs from. So if you haven't been to Sheringham, it is a beautiful, again, seaside town. Snettisham is a place that you get to before you get to Hunstanton. I've never been to Snettisham. It is another seaside place, but it is before you get to Hunstanton. It's a little further in. I have been to Strumpshaw Fen. Now, Strumpshaw Fen used to be near me. I used to live in Lingwood, and Strumpshaw Fen was a little bit of a walk to get to, maybe half hour, but you could get to it. And Strumpshaw Fen has these beautiful scenes, absolutely stunning scenes of the fens and the wildlife. Next is Swaffham, which is where I live. I actually live in Swaffham. Can you believe Swaffham's actually featured on one of these list challenges? You wouldn't believe it. I live in Swaffham. It is a quiet, quaint town with tons of ducks, tons of charity shops, and tons of people that moan constantly. We are a bunch of moaners that live here. There isn't a day go past that people don't complain about something in Swaffham, whether it's the bins, the ducks, the amount of charity shops we have. There is always something to complain about. Thetford, I have been to Thetford before. I went to Thetford Job Centre back in the day. That was interesting. Thetford is all right. It's not a town that I'd like put myself out to visit, and that isn't putting Thetford down. Thetford does get a bad name. Next, we have Thrigby Hall. I've been to Thrigby Hall before. If you haven't seen my video, I did a video filming Thrigby Hall. Has amazing wildlife. They also have wildlife gardens. Their best things to see is their lions. They have amazing birds. Okay, next is the Thurn Windmill, which I haven't seen. I don't even know whereabouts on the coast it is. Next is the Thursford collection. I would give my right arm just to go to Thursford, let alone do Thursford at Christmas. If you don't know what Thursford is, it has a bunch of vintage collectibles, whether it's the carousel, the organ, and the rest of the place. It's just stunning with the steam engines and that. I need to go to Thursford at Christmas because apparently it is amazing. The Time and Tide Museum, which is in Great Yarmouth, gives you the history of fishermen, the quay, how they used to smoke all the meats and stuff, and how they used to smoke the fish, not meat, fish, and the smokehouse, and how the fishing port basically is still trying to thrive, although fishing has hit hard recently with the amount of fish that are endangered because they've been overfished to excess. I've never been to Walcott before. It looks like a beautiful church there, and you do know I love a graveyard. Next is Wells Next to the Sea. Again, this is another shipping port. As you can see, this bit here apparently had something to do with shipping. I just don't know what. It has all the boats. You can actually go crabbing as well. You could do the crabbing. You could do the walk around the quay. They have amusements. It's a really nice place, especially if you want fresh fish, fresh crab and stuff like that. Next, we have Welney. Never been to Welney before, although I do like the fact that it's got lots of ducks. Winterton on Sea. I've never been to Winterton, although I think these huts are amazing. And if there is a campsite there that has these little huts, I need to stay in these little huts at some point. I have been to Wroxham. Wroxham has an amazing boat tour where you can go around and you go around Wroxham on this little boat. You can also hire day boats to go around Wroxham as well. But I went on the boat tour of Wroxham, and you go around on the water and you get to see the fancy houses that you couldn't afford unless you cut a kidney out, because they're just overpriced at like $1 million. It's basically like going around Hollywood in the car, but on a boat, seeing all these fancy houses that you could never afford. They also have their own private boating where you can have a boat and you have your own private docking. It is an amazing place. They also have a massive shopping center called Rocks and Barns, a massive shopping precinct. It is definitely a place to take your kids at least once. Maybe not on the day boats, although you do have to have a driving license to hire one of the day boats. But the tours you can go on, and they do them like 2-3 times a day. And the next is Yarmouth Stadium. Now, unfortunately, I've never been to Yarmouth Stadium. They have a racing stadium, and they also have the Banger Racing Stadium, which is in 2 separate places. You have Banger Racing in one place, and then you have the Great Yarmouth Races. My mum used to go to the races quite a lot. She did like to bet on the GGs, as my dad used to call it. But I've never been there. And that is the results. So I have been to 22 out of 40 places. So even though I live in Norfolk, I've never visited the whole of Norfolk. So I have done better than 80% of users. Now, that's only because of the people. If you live in Norfolk and you do this, of course, you're going to have visited more than somebody outside of Norfolk. So you ranked 14 out of 107, and you beat the average of 10 places. So I have a 55% score. So what we do is we go over to here, and it tallies up my score. So I am now the top 10%, and I've earned 97 stars. Now, it's not, to see who's the better. At the end of the day, it's just a bit of fun, just to see what you've done, whether you've lived your life, whether there's still things you want to do. There's different ones you can do. You can do travel, movies, bucket lists, food, toys, TV programs, nostalgia, music. There is so much more that is available on this website. You can also go on this side. You can do your own lists and see if people will do your lists. You can browse, search, and there's also a leaderboard as well that you can try and compete in. And then you can publish your own lists. You can favorite ones. You can compete with your friends and share it if you so wish, to show people what stats you've got. So it's not necessarily about a competition. If you and your friends wanted to make it a competition, you could do. It would be fun, I guess. But if you want to like and subscribe and give us a big thumbs up, comment down below if you live in the UK. Have you been to Norfolk? Did any of those places sound interesting? I live in Swaffham, so do be nice in the comments about my hometown. Like and subscribe. Give it a big thumbs up. It's free. If you want to help the channel, a PayPal, super chat, or a super thanks. And next time, we'll do another one that is a bit more general. I just wanted to do this one because I saw that it came up with Norfolk, and I live in Norfolk, so why not? And I will see you very soon for another list challenge. Take care and thanks for watching. Bye, guys.